come into this, and we'll see as we get into the bans right now. Cassiopeia and Azir getting taken away, and ooh, someone learned. So some days Nunu needs to not be in this game.
Yeah, I'm glad S0NSTAR's been watching that. He watched his teammate actually fall in the previous matchup to a Nunu, and so definitely learning from Lilac's earlier mistakes and banning that champion out. Now, you're always going to see a Caitlyn ban, a Azir ban, kind of definitely top tier, but what is Nagne going to go for here? He picks second when it comes to the pick phase, but he does have the final say as far as bans. We saw Sivir show up earlier. Sivir, a lot of options in the 1v1, but definitely counterable, and there you go, the Sivir banned. Coming up with a brand new pick here. Not going to see Sivir, Nunu. Do we go back to the Annie? I am, a team that's already shown their capability to pick that champion. What's S0NSTAR going to go for? I mean, he's a support, or he's an AD carry player anyways, so I think he's just going to go for an AD carry comfort pick instead of, picking necessarily for the individual 1v1.
All right, so something fun is that Lucian used to be played mid quite a bit when he came out, and I think it was Prawley who used to play that quite a bit. He would just bring that over there and just troll around. It's not too bad. You got some good harass with the passive. You can get in the double shot. Varus is not too bad either, with the hail of arrows as well as the piercing arrow he can shoot out there. So yeah, they lock in the Varus. He's got Chain of Corruption, and the only thing about Varus is he lacks mobility, so I'm expecting him to take Flash into this lane. Flash teleport wouldn't be too bad for the Varus to at least guarantee that he can go back to base, pick up some Doran's Blades, if anything. Now, Nagne, the other question that I have to ask is, what the hell is he going to pick against this Varus? Varus has a lot of good damage. He's got the stacking from the passive that can be popped out. He reduces your healing. He can lock you in place for quite a little bit. And Karma might be the answer. You get some movement from the mantras, as well as you can lock him down.
Now, for Nagne, keep in mind, S0NSTAR is an AD carry player for IM, whereas Nagne is a mid laner. So, do they just pick their comfort picks as far as champions that they're used to? Nagne, hovering over this Karma, has 7 seconds to change it. Of course, both of his main champions, previously Yasuo back in his glory days, but also Ahri left available. He's just going with Karma here, so we haven't seen any champion repeated so far in the Solo King Korean 1v1 tournament. And we're going to see 2 new champions here tonight. It's Karma in for KT's Nagne, faces off against S0NSTAR's Varus.
I'm not sure how I feel about the Karma pick just yet. I like the Varus over this right now. The Varus raw damage is going to be nice. You can start with Doran's Blade and a potion and be A-okay. His runes could allow for him to pick up some lifesteal if he really wants to, but I think just raw damage wouldn't be too bad here. Nagne needs to definitely pick up some armor, though, in his page.
And we might actually see a little bit of an Olaf-esque build here for S0NSTAR's
Some
Varus.
CDR?
Yeah, if he just goes really heavy CDR, maxes that piercing arrow, and then just keeps, piercing the minion wave over and over again. It's kind of like playing a Sivir, but it actually does a ton of extra damage, especially if he's able to farm up a Brutalizer or something like that. Those piercing arrows are going to be so strong, so definitely something to keep an eye on. And Karma, why do you pick Karma in a 1v1, Egad?
Well, you get yourself some good chase potential. The mantras on the inner flame, you have the ability to shield yourself, and if you really need to, you can mantra the W and get yourself a nice little bit of a burst heal. And we can see the picks from both these players right now. As S0NSTAR, he plays with the Corki and Sivir, and then Nagne, he plays a whole plethora of champions as his favorite, Lissandra and Jace.
Keep in mind that is for this season, so
yes.
And it's being played in, of course, their meta roles. If you look at the KDAs, you can see them in the mid lane, or in the mid versus AD there. Very, very different. Of course, those are based off of 5v5 stats, so aren't necessarily completely relevant, but they do give you an idea. S0NSTAR overall gets a few more kills, and of course, both of these KDAs kind of reflect the standings. Current champion standings for both KT and IM are 6th and 7th place with a 2-3 and 1-4 score respectively between IM and KT. So not going to have super high KDAs anyway, but when it comes down to it, that's the stat that we're using to compare them here tonight.
Yep. So hopefully we'll be loading in onto the rift very quickly.
What's your prediction, Egad? Who do you think's gonna win? Is it the Karma comeback, or is it gonna be the Varus coming back? And honestly, irrespective of which player is playing the champions, what do you think of the champions being picked?
I'll say S0NSTAR is going to take this one. I think it's going to be a 2-0 for S0NSTAR.
The S0NSTAR will have the extra attack damage, maybe kill creeps a little bit more effectively, piercing arrows to finish things off, and still dish out a lot of poke damage if he's able to do that. It's kind of like the AD Zerath, where you charge up your Q and you let it rip and see what it hits. So we'll be loading onto the Rifts here for our second best of 3 1v1 between KT's Nagne facing off against S0NSTAR. For Nagne, he's looking to keep the pride with KT, as someday already picked up a win in the previous 1v1 matchup versus S0NSTAR's teammate Lilac, and coming in here to the second best of 3, we'll see if Lilac can, or not Lilac, but S0NSTAR can avenge Lilac's previous 0-2 loss to KT and bring it back for the organization. Like I said, we are going to have one SK Telecom team kill a little bit later on, but as far as right now, we're heading into our second best of 3. I want to see Karma come back. I think Karma has a lot of potential as far as just the 1v1 idea. There's a lot of sustain actually if you max up your tether, and a little bit of an interesting fact about Karma, just to make our shoutcasting lives more difficult, is that when you mantra an ability, it actually changes the name. So if you're gonna be really like picture perfect as far as your ability names are concerned, your Q is called Inner Flame. When you mantra it, it actually turns into Soul Flare. When you come to W, it's Focused Resolve, then it turns into Renewal, because it gives you a lot of extra HP back. And of course, when you mantra Inspire, it becomes Defiance, which is the AoE moves to be buffed. You probably won't see that, considering that there aren't other champions to buff with it, but we'll see if I can keep those mantra abilities, in line. A lot of different names to throw around. I'm probably just going to call them, Shield and Tether and Q and cool names like that, but
seems about right. You don't really see Karma too often in competitive play anymore.
I mean, you used to. I watched Bjergsen get a pentakill on Karma, so
yeah, that was one time. But then after that, so that was kind of it.
Literally the only time. It was like that's all you saw of Karma. It just died off after that, and so it'll be coming back in the 1v1 mid lane. Maybe if there was more 1v1ing, we'd see a little bit more Karma in our lives.
All right, so it looks like we're loading in now. A little bit of stream lag, I guess. Oh well.
Yeah, we are having a little bit of connectivity issues.
All right, cool. So, welcome back to what is going to be match number 2 here. S0NSTAR taking on Nagne as IM versus KT Rollster, another match that we saw earlier on today between the teams. And S0NSTAR is going to be playing the Varus. He is the AD carry player for the IM team, Incredible Miracle. And Nagne, the mid laner, will be playing the Karma.
Alright, so we'll see if there is karmic justice here. Doran's starts for both laners, which is a completely different take on the 1v1 matchup than our previous 1v1. And of course, do want to drop a quick apology for some of the lag issues coming out there, completely beyond our control. But to talk about the 1v1 in-game, in our first series of the night, it was all sustained. It was Crystalline Flask, it was tons of potions, but now we actually have Doran's items for maybe a little bit of early combat.
The other thing is here is the Doran's Blade will out-sustain the Doran's Ring. That's only if, S0NSTAR isn't completely zoned off. If he doesn't get hit up there. That's just a bit of a troll coming in. Nagne has plenty of mana regeneration. He'll be fine. But
I was like, Nagne,
interesting.
Come on, man, you gotta take every advantage you can. Go for that maximum BM at level 1 and try to hit the Qs. S0NSTAR does have the ability to, land Qs of his own, but he hasn't skilled the skill just yet. Do you go for Hail of Arrows to maybe land more reliable damage, or Piercing Arrow to be able to CS and poke things down?
I think he'll be maxing Piercing Arrow. Just to make sure that he can keep pushing the wave out, no problem. But who knows? Maxing Hail of Arrows wouldn't be that bad, but you miss a lot of damage there. So it's honestly on his preference if he wants to stop some, maybe one of Nagne's potions or two, just reduce that healing by half. So we'll see. The wave is now in play.
You know, I gotta feel very sorry for the observers for games like this, because when you're in a 5v5, you know, there's crazy stuff happening all over the map, but in a 1v1, it's like, well, I'm gonna put my camera in the mid lane, and it's gonna watch them kill creeps for a little bit, and then there's all kinds of action, but you don't really need to move the camera too much for that. There is already a Soulfire, I believe it is called there. Now costs 1 mana after the... Oh, wrong game. But you get the idea. Nagne able to get that early wave pushing in there. It's going to be a race for level 2. And I think if you do get a early level 2 there on, you know, Nagne's Karma, throw down an early tether and maybe force not a flash. It's going to be summoner heal there, using as primarily the sustain and possibly a little bit of an escape spell too.
Yeah, that extra move speed wouldn't be too bad from running away from the Karma. And Nagne taking up a barrier and teleport is interesting in itself. I mean, he's going to be able to shield himself twice. He's going to be able to teleport back to lane if anything goes awry and maybe get Doran's ring or two. I'm not sure exactly how he plans on killing anybody, but if he brings up the farm game, that's where he can definitely shine.
Now, one difficulty that I'm finding right now for S0NSTAR is that without Flash specifically, if Nagne walks forward, even using a little bit of extra move speed from her shield, and drops a tether onto S0NSTAR, how does he get out of that tether?
He doesn't. He just man mows and fights up.
I would hope so, and that's what Nagne has to worry about. So maybe a cloth armor on the is the pickup when he goes back. Probably just Doran's rings. We already saw how effective that was earlier for some days. Nunu.
Yeah, Doran's rings definitely the standard for the AP in the 1v1 matchup, and Doran's blades is going to be the same for the AD side of it. But, you know, the AD side could also go for Vampiric Scepter and stuff like that, and just really make it almost impossible to kill him by just poking.
Now, speaking of poking, that is very mana reliant for both players, and so you have to keep an eye on that stat. For S0NSTAR, he's dropping down a little bit lower, doesn't have any way to get mana back, and that is an advantage that Nagne will have from the Doran's ring, both regeneration, passive, and active from killing creeps. Gonna help him out there with the poke, which is also defensive due to the shield. A very diverse champion kit there for Nagne. We'll have to see if that is effective enough to turn this around. You can see, oh, S0NSTAR continuing to get hit by those Mantrid Soulfires.
Yeah, that's not what you want in this matchup, especially considering that Nagne is still very, very far ahead of you in terms of health. And I mean, he just keeps going for the Mantrid Soulfires, and you're gonna have a tough time. Especially if he gets hit by the second proc, you're pretty much dead.
Do you want to correct myself? It is actually Soul Flare, which in some way is different than Soulfire. Somehow, I don't know, but technically that is the name.
I mean, at least you're not Morgana from like Marvel vs. Capcom, or just spamming Soulfire. Or I think it's, I forget what it is. Whatever, wrong game.
Something close. We're sticking to League of Legends, and as far as Nagne is concerned, he's gonna have the wave in a good spot. If he hits, it's not even about hitting level 6, because of course Karma doesn't really gain all that much of an advantage from hitting level 6, because he already has all 4 spells. Moving forward here onto S0NSTAR, like we said, it's going to be about that tether. If she gets in range, S0NSTAR is going to have a bad time. And specifically now that S0NSTAR is very low in mana, Nagne does have a very big advantage, being able to still cast all of his spells, while S0NSTAR is kind of running dry on the mana department. It's like it's Black Friday, it's Christmas, the mana department got hit really hard by shoppers. It's barren wasteland. S0NSTAR needs to restock the shelves, but how's he gonna do that? The answer is probably through a trip back to base. But what item are both of these players farming for?
I think Nagne is just gonna pick up more Doran's rings. And S0NSTAR should be just looking for a Vampiric Scepter or blades. I want to say that he'll prioritize getting more Doran's blades, but who knows? Nagne will go back to base. He'll choose his timing, and you know. Oh, actually doesn't get hit out there. Wow.
I probably should have used the Scrying Orb a little bit earlier to stop the recall with a piercing arrow, but I think that was primarily to see, hey, is Karma going back to base? Is this an opportunity that I can use to shove this wave in, and then hope for back timing of his own?
Yep. So I believe once he kills off this range creep here, he'll be good to go back to base. Yeah. So he'll go back. He's got 51 CS. It's going to be a quad Doran ring pickup for Nagne.
Whoa!
I'm expecting a quad Doran blade for S0NSTAR.
I don't know if you were playing way back in the beta far enough, but I think it was Season 1 where the build for AD carries and mid laners used to be just stacking Doran's items. And of course that was when Doran's items were completely broken. But yeah, there you go. As many Dorans as humanly possible. 4 swords for S0NSTAR and 4 rings for Nagne.
Does he just shoot the swords now? Is that what happens? I don't know how he carries those. He's supposed to be Arctic Ops, supposed to be sneaky, and
he has a giant bow. There are no swords in that skin, Egad. Where are they? I don't see them.
I don't know. In his back pocket, he's an Arctic Op. Maybe he's got him in like a survival bag somewhere hidden in the rift. But
it's a little bit like if you remember playing like the old Legend of Zelda games, like you have all these items in your bag, like you have 30 bomb shoes in there, and you're just like, where do I keep all the bomb shoes? Are they in his shoes? I don't know. But there's the tether there from Nagne. I believe he actually might have mantra'd that up, and that actually becomes a huge source of sustain for Karma. If you do go for a mantra'd focused resolve, turns into renewal, and it gives you back 20% of your missing health, which can actually turn around these low health situations. And with no ignites in the game, you're always going to get the full heal value.
And at this point, the poke from Nagne really just doesn't do enough. He can try to tick him out. I mean, S0NSTAR can just man up and fight and just trade like that, and he gets 12% back in terms of lifesteal, and I mean, you're not gonna win exchanges now against this Varus. It's way too hard.
As far as the auto attacks go, yeah, it's going to be very difficult to to stop that from being in S0NSTAR's favor. But when it comes to the sustain, I was talking about how renewal actually gives you so much extra health back, but it actually lasts. Oh, no ultimate to land, but look at those auto attacks hitting. Nagne has to play this very, very carefully. Has the mana advantage, but look at that HP, and every time S0NSTAR auto attacks, he's gonna get so much health back from 3% life steal.
Is this the patch where they increase the width on the Chain of Corruption?
No, I think that actually comes a little bit later on, but you can see Nagne there using the mantra'd focused resolve, getting all that HP back from renewal.
Okay, so once they make that change, the Chain of Corruption Varus is probably going to see a like 70% spike in play.
Yeah, it's really good, but arguably has the hardest ultimate to hit in League of Legends.
Yeah, so
like Xerath ultimate's hard to hit, but at least you get 3 tries. For Varus, you just get 1, and it's a very narrow projectile even still. So Nagne pushed back to his turret. He's doing a decent job at CSing and preventing damage being done to him, but he's dropped down 2 CS again. Might be what turned things around.
I mean, if he can just keep the perfect CS off the waves that come up, at some point he should be able to take an even more significant lead. And once we hit that 100 creep threshold, he just gets 110, and that's it, and that's the game over. And this one might actually be the first one to come down to that creep ruling, so we'll see.
Yeah, I just realized that because the Doran's passives stack, every time Nagne kills a creep, he gets 16 mana back.
Yep.
Which is actually huge, because 16 times 6 minions in a wave, that is 96 mana. Damn, we're like the best mathematicians out there, which is a major feat for me, having a terrible track record with doing math live on the fly.
Oh jeez.
I think the observers actually pointing out, oh, there's actually the tether going to finish things off. S0NSTAR in a little bit of trouble, but like I said, somebody here on there's the ultimate. Nagne could be in a little bit of trouble. There's barrier forced out, but no kills to be had, and S0NSTAR now out of mana.
That was interesting. I mean, to at least force the barrier was good. Nagne has his TP back up though if he wants to go back to base, and S0NSTAR held on to the heal, which is the most important thing out of that, because that's a pretty long cooldown, and next set of cooldowns could be not. Yeah, that was close.
Exactly. Yeah, one more inner flame, especially if it's mantra'd into a soul flare, that's gonna take down S0NSTAR. So Nagne just barely survived S0NSTAR's all-in, not once but twice, and is now going to send it back to base. Now it's just in time for his what?
Oh, Spectral Cowl. Okay, I'm
down.
Yeah,
but the pick ward on the Summoner Fountain, I'm a little bit confused.
Oh, that's because the tower died. So he did that just to make sure that he spent the gold that he got from the tower die.
Okay, that's a good thing to point out. I was like, wait a second, how is that in the meta? Then I realized, yep, tower died, so you have to spend the 100 gold that you get from the turret kill just to keep things even.
And then we have a oh geez, I can't remember what that item is. That
a haunting guise versus a fiendish versus a Spectre's Cowl. All right, yeah, a lot of new items coming out, and interesting to see the defenses. So some health there for Nagne, some magic resistance for S0NSTAR, and what this means is that the Spectre's Cowl, there's actually a lot of healing in a Spectre's Cowl. Every time you take damage, you'll heal a little bit back with some extra regeneration. So now S0NSTAR won't take a lot of damage. He'll still have a lot of damage to dish out, but is that enough magic resistance penetration from the haunting guys?
I don't think so. The Spectre's Cowl passive is going to be really nice to have here too, considering that every time he gets hit, It's just gonna give him that nice little bit of regeneration, and breaking through that with the Karma is gonna be very tough considering how burst oriented she is.
At this rate, now that we're over the 100 CS mark, that means that anytime there is a 10 CS differential between both players, the game's just over. So this is going to be determined primarily by CS, and you can actually use that to you know, maybe get more of an aggressive trade. If your opponent tries to go for CS, you just kill it, because now that CS is so important, could turn this game around.
Yeah, Nagne's gonna be 3 ahead the entire time if he doesn't miss any more underneath this turret. So gotta keep an eye out of that, because wow, S0NSTAR just actually missed 2, so that's gonna be pretty big. But he gets half the damage to the tower, and he's gonna get tethered up. He's gonna get rooted in place, but there's no way Nagne can fight this. Yeah, it's
Nagne completely gonna lose the 1v1, but with S0NSTAR, the bigger problem is that he's able to push this wave into the turret, and Nagne, having a difficult time dealing with that, will continue to try to stop this wave, but there's the all-in coming in, and Chains of Corruption gonna land. There's a counter chain coming out, Soul Flare hitting as well. Nagne trying to run away there from the mid lane. S0NSTAR completely out of mana though, so spent a lot of time going for that all-in, but he actually dropped way down in CS, 5 CS more for Nagne, and he wins the game.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be tough to get to that still.
Oh,
Nagne, no. Oh no.
S0NSTAR, one more auto attack, uses that summoner heal, but he's so far down in HP.
He can't leave the lane or he loses. There's no way.
And he's going to get zoned off the creep wave, and I think this is going to be the victory for Nagne, who yeah, just needs about 4 CS and chip back to base for S0NSTAR. I think he's just kind of conceding here. If Nagne is able to pick this one up, yep, there is the 10 CS advantage. It's Nagne for KT picking up game 1 win over S0NSTAR.
All right, so my prediction was wrong. I thought that S0NSTAR would be able to do it. The 80 Varus looked strong in the beginning, but just the perseverance from Nagne, and also that really close exchange just kind of forcing him all the way back.
We're going to see the epic conclusion of this game.
Wow!
The replay of Nagne killing CS and S0NSTAR just sitting behind his turret. Not all that much that he can do.
Whoa!
CS it is!
I don't know how to say 3 in Korean, unfortunately, but...
There's Nagne, our winner in the first game of this best of 3 series. He'll take down game number 1, and in KT fashion tonight, EGAD, continuing the trait of winning 1v1s versus IM players. Of course, there you can see us on the screen. I fixed my hair this morning just so that I could look pretty in that white dress. And of course, you looking completely dapper in your suit right next to me.
I'm actually 2 people in 1.
We split Dan into his good and evil halves.
Yes, we got Dan, and then we got Danielle.
Ah, there we go. Maybe that's Danielle in the mid lane. Damn it! I should have made you the girl in the middle.
Exactly, because I have the more feminine.
Then we could have Danielle. But
whatever.
That is going to be the end of our first game of this 1v1 between S0NSTAR, Nagne. It's going to KT, and one more game for Nagne, and he'll pick up the victory for KT as well. Set up a team kill in the next round of this first bracket. Of course, if you guys want more information on the brackets, azubu.tv is where you can find the stream, and of course, right down below, more information. Of course, if you're looking for detailed brackets, you can always head over to Esportspedia. They have a detailed breakdown of the players, the teams, the brackets, and all the information for this Solo King Korean 1v1 tournament.
Okay, so just one more for that team kill. The bracket actually should be advancing itself here, I believe. But after this game, if S0NSTAR somehow makes a comeback, we do go into the finals of that group, and then we move on to the next group. So Hachani versus Bliss, then Peekaboo versus Marn is going to be coming up after we conclude this group and have a definitive winner from their finals. So let's see. Nagne had a 78% actual vote, and S0NSTAR only had 22%. Wow.
And this is actually really interesting because when we asked our, quote-unquote experts, guys like Chobra, professional teams and writers, got checks to weigh in, as well as Team Impulse and Team Coast. When we were looking at kind of the report cards for who was favored in this matchup, the edge was actually given to Nagne in some situations, but not as many as I would like. I'm a huge Nagne fan, but it was even when they asked the competitive teams, split right down the middle. As far as individual players for Team Impulse and Coast, Rush, Apollo, Jezzes, Mashme, and Sheep all went with Nagne, and S0NSTAR. Team S0NSTAR is Impact, Adrian, Zhao, and Impaler, and Chris. So those are the names behind each one of these players, and it'll be interesting to see if game number 2 yields different results. Nagne, this time on the blue side, will get first pick, first ban, and all of those amenities coming in here to game number 2.
All right, so we see the Varus, the Nunu getting banned away, Azir, and Cassiopeia. Surprisingly, that's Nagne took away S0NSTAR's Varus there. That's really kind of just weird. He did a good job with the Karma. S0NSTAR should ban away that, but there's still way too much to think about. Caitlyn could be a big thing. I don't think Annie's that much of a problem. I'm just really trying to think of just the 1v1 monsters, such as like Zed and LeBlanc, but Sivir gets taken away there. So there's just a lot that slips through, and Xerath is finally gone as well.
Okay, so what's available right now that we've seen played earlier? Nunu, Annie, and oh no, Caitlyn.
That's just the ultimate tryhard.
Exactly, and might even see the Spite Caitlyn that was used so effectively. But when you're talking about AD carry, S0NSTAR just gonna say, hey, you want to battle me with an AD carry? That's his home turf. The AD carry for IM. While he hasn't necessarily put up big numbers in the lane phase, the 5v5 phase for IM, here in a 1v1, Misfortune still very, very strong.
Interesting. Oh man. Misfortune versus Caitlyn used to be a really interesting match because you could try to counter out the Caitlyn with the Misfortune with the burst damage from the double up. Impure shots was always nice to make trades a little bit more in your favor, and then you have Make It Rain and slow her down. But in the end, Caitlyn does outrange you. You get poked out just a little bit more. You have to worry about traps, to worry about the net, disengage, and maybe even getting slowed down and chased out by it. So a lot we have to keep an eye out for this match, and I expect this one to be another, CS kind of game.
And once again, EGAD, we continue our tradition of having no champion picked twice in the Solo King Korean 1v1 tournament. We have new champions every single time, keeping it interesting, keeping it exciting, and keeping us on our toes. Last time I cast a Misfortune game, yeah, that's how long it's been. So at least a couple of months ago. Time to relearn all the abilities, and of course things have been changed up for Misfortune since you're used to seeing her in the meta. We're going to check out the runes right now for Nagne, and so checking things out on the rune page, you can see a lot of extra attack speed, 14% from having reds there. 9 armor from the seals. Let's see, 8.5. I believe that is attack damage, as well as a small amount of mana regen mixed in there as well. That 1.3. At least I believe that is what it is. So we'll check out the masteries here. Fairly standard, at least should be fairly standard. No spell weaving and blade weaving. 2 points put in that warlord passive. So it will give usually you only see like 0 or 1 points put into warlord, just because it doesn't scale all that much. But fairly standard masteries so far here for Nagne.
Alright, and just gotta wait to see what S0NSTARs are gonna be. I expect it to be simple as well. A little bit of mana regeneration would help out just a bit to getting those Piltover Peacemakers out. I'm thinking of what else could be different here. So S0NSTARs.
S0NSTAR and his runes. A little bit simpler. He's just going for, I believe that is attack, or I want to say that's...
Oh, no, S0NSTAR is playing the Misfortune. I messed up.
Okay, so S0NSTAR is playing Misfortune. He's going to run Armor Penetration. Is that Armor Pen in reds? It's either Armor Pen or AD. Some attack speed, and of course the defensive stats that you'd expect.
Yeah. But he took some extra magic damage as well, so gotta look for Make It Rain damage, possibly, and Bullet Time as well had a change to where it did AP damage on top. So that's...
The interesting thing for me is, as far as the masteries are concerned, no points in Warlord. It's going to be Spell Weaving, Blade Weaving, looking to stack up that persistent damage over time as he continues to get those auto attacks and spell casts down. And Make It Rain is going to be very effective at that because it gives consistent magic damage, so it'll help stack up that Spell Weaving and Blade Weaving a little bit more frequently.
I don't know how I feel about that just for using those 3 points there, but we'll have to see how it takes effect, and once we get onto the Rift, we'll be good to go there. Honestly, I think Nagne should have this one with Caitlyn especially.
I was a big fan of Nagne coming into this 1v1, and I'm still going to give it to him when we come in here at game number 2. KT kind of on a roll. They're 3 for 0 tonight as far as 1v1 victories versus IM players. So it's going to be exciting to see whether or not maybe we have the first IM victory as S0NSTAR pulls it out. He is on an 80 carry. It's going to be exciting to see what he does on his kind of his home turf in that 1v1 80 carry battle. We'll go ahead and get into game here in just a second. It's going to be exciting. S0NSTAR versus Nagne will be coming up next, and just waiting to get into game here in just a second as we load in onto Summoner's Rift. I gotta say, I was a big fan of Nagne on his just traditional mid laners, but now we get a chance to see him play not only Caitlyn, a very, very, very strong champion, but versus S0NSTAR, another AD. Let's go ahead and get into game.
Alright, cool. Looks like we're onto the Rift now. Nagne's gonna be playing the Caitlyn there. Doran's Blade in a potion. Save for S0NSTAR, nothing crazy. Getting that strut on out there. He's rocking the Cowgirl Misfortune, and nothing out of the ordinary at all, except for the teleport barrier and the teleporting knight for S0NSTAR.
And welcome to the Solo King Korea 1v1 tournament. To be fair, when I heard about this tournament for the first time, I was like, okay, so we've got pro players playing 1v1s. It's not going to be super exciting. And then I looked at all the pro players who were playing. We have literally every player and even more that you've seen in things like Champions tournaments over the course of this season. And then you get to watch them play against each other. For Nagne, guys that, maybe not having such a great, time in the regular season in a 5v5 team environment, finally gets a chance to shine just by himself. And on Caitlyn, honestly, the ban phase in 1v1 tournaments was made for Caitlyn. And to see her omitted there just gives Nagne a huge advantage. We'll see if S0NSTAR's Misfortune can win that 1v1 matchup. And maybe if it comes down to his CS, we finally get to see his 80 carry CSing skills at work.
Yeah, at least bullet time this time around can clear out a wave pretty well. Level 6 is going to be a pretty big time for S0NSTAR. Ace in the hole kind of harass out, but once those Doran's Blades start stacking up, the poke really won't matter anymore. Jeez, I'm just really interested to see how this lane actually progresses too, and what S0NSTAR actually maxes. I expect a double up max, but who knows.
And Nagne does start with Piltover Peacemaker, and instead of using it just to dish out most of the damage to the wave, tried to get all that headshot proc and to start this trade up here versus S0NSTAR. You can see S0NSTAR going in for the 1v1. The barrier there, Ignite, gonna get countered out there in that regard. Nagne dropping down to below 100 HP. And there's
that
the
was
all-in.
questionable.
S0NSTAR unsuccessful in taking down Nagne.
No, that was successful. Ignite is a much shorter cooldown than barrier, and at least he forced the potion early. He's still ahead in terms of HP, and he hasn't gotten a CS advantage, unfortunately, out of that. That's kind of the main thing I was looking at, to see if he could at least make him miss a creep.
Oh, but look at that double off the level 2, just so successful getting harassed through the minion wave. And Nagne, like you said earlier, not a whole lot of HP here. Those double ups continuing to land. Yep.
Gotta say, double up is a pretty good harassment spell, especially when you know how to utilize the cone the cone that the second bullet comes through, and that's something that Misfortune can completely abuse in a 1 versus 1 matchup. And
level 3 is picked up for both players. We see 2 points put into Piltover Peacemaker there for Nagne. As far as S0NSTAR is concerned, you're probably gonna see 2 points put in double up, as that is the primary way that Misfortune wins trades. Even if it doesn't bounce off the minion, you still get an auto attack reset off of it.
Cheeky. That was very cheeky.
Yeah, he tried for that double up. I don't think there were many worlds in which that landed, but now, going back in. There's a 90 caliber net on the S0NSTAR. Hits him down. He's down to 100 HP and probably will need to head his way back to base. Has double up if Nagne goes for an early aggressive trade.
I wonder how Nagne, oh man, if he would have saved that headshot proc, he might have been able to kill off S0NSTAR with just a headshot and a Piltover, but just playing it safe for now. He is down in terms of XP. He was zoned away just a little bit. So S0NSTAR at least has the XP advantage right now, as well as a nice creep advantage too. And he is not running out of mana anytime soon.
Now, if Nagne hits a Piltover Peacemaker here, he definitely has kill potential. Speaking of, the ability to pick up kills, one way that you're going to do that is by closing the gap with your opposing AD carry, and you can do that with 90 caliber net for Nagne, whereas S0NSTAR just has to run around. So we'll have a faster way to get back to base, and it'll be interesting to see. Oh, okay, gets back there. I was a little bit worried there for a second to see if his back would be stopped, and at that point Nagne would come up with a pretty big advantage off of just being able to CS the wave.
Yep. Going back to base, he picks up a double longsword. So looking for the brutalizer route, looking for the CDR. I don't know what that says in Korean, but I'm going to assume that it says fun and happy things.
It is actually an advisory that we stop playing League of Legends because we've been playing it for too long. It does that on every hour interval, I think, starting at, I believe, 2 hours or so. But
it's like the old Guild Wars stuff. It's like, yeah, you've been playing for about 2 hours now. You should probably stop.
But there is no rest for the weary here, EGAD. We are continuing our Korean 1v1 tournament, whether we like it or not. Triple Doran's Blades there for Nagne. No Brutalizer for him in the works. He is just looking to, maybe hit the CS cap in in an 80 carry versus 80 carry matchup. You should see CS be the defining factor. Not incredibly strong early on, although S0NSTAR definitely tried it with impure shots and ignite early. Couldn't quite find the all-in.
He just runs into the traps, dude. Doesn't care. He takes so much damage though. He's got to be really careful. He didn't go for double Dorans or triple Dorans, excuse me, like Nagne did. His sustain is not going to be as good. And he also built up a pretty big creep wave, which Nagne is going to be able to really just capitalize on. Oh, please.
Just the tip of that build-over Peacemaker hitting, as well as a headshot proc. Not to mention all of that trap damage and minion aggro he took earlier. S0NSTAR, ooh, just in a little bit of a rough situation. And the longswords don't even offer him all that much of an advantage because, I mean, for every longsword he has, Nagne has a Doran's Blade, which is overall more stat effective. Oh, Nagne, he's just going to walk forward. There's the 90 caliber net. Going to hit him down there for the somewhat anticlimactic last hit.
S0NSTAR's like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to walk forward and try to kill you. But that really was
We're
bad
choice. We're going to see a replay here. S0NSTAR kind of gives up the ghost at this point. Once he walks around that little outcrop, dodges the build over Peacemaker, but Nagne just kind of walks on him, hits him with a headshot proc, and at this point, kind of knows he has kill potential. Microing forward, S0NSTAR, like you said, the barrier cooldown coming back up. There's Piltover and the last hit. Nagne with another 2-0 victory over his IM opponent, S0NSTAR.
Cool, so that means that we will have the team kill situation coming into effect with S0NSTAR versus Nagne. And, I mean, we're going to be going to a quick break as well, and, also, there's the charity that you can donate to for this event, the Extra Life charity, as this is pretty much what the whole event's for. So you check that out. Also support Azubu and stuff like that. Follow the stream, follow the Twitter and stuff, and Facebook, YouTube. What else? You can follow us, the casters, by all means, at Rapid Casting and at EGADcast. What else, man? We got so many more matches to come up. We got another whole bracket to do. It's going to be Achani versus Bliss, Peekaboo versus Marin, which is the biggest one that everybody's looking out for. But we got to finish up this finals here. S0NSTAR versus Nagne is going to be that next match for you guys.